Are you suffering from constipation? Or are you an aspiring raw foodist suffering from constipation? Or are you somebody trying to eat a whole lot of fruit and fast to heal yourself naturally? Yet you notice that you are not eliminating as well as you should be. Or do you spend hundreds of dollars every month on things like enzymes and stomach and bowel formulas just to create some good movement, some good bowel movements? Or do you crave foods that you know you're not supposed to be eating? You're trying to elevate your diet. You're trying to eat more fruits and vegetables and do your juicing and smoothies and all these things. But when the evening comes around, you're still craving some things that you know you're not supposed to eat. What do? If you fall into any of these categories, or you just want to generally elevate your health, then you're going to want to stay tuned. I'm going to be sharing 5 of my favorite cooked mucus-free recipes or cooked mucus-free food items that can help you overcome and obliterate constipation, ground you, satiate you, so that if you are craving some things you're not supposed to eat this first. And oftentimes you'll find, I don't want the thing anymore. This is 5 of my most important food items, recipes, and I'm going to share it with you right now. Stay tuned. I'm Professor Spira. I practice something called the Mucusless Diet Healing System. I've done so for over 23 years. I've helped thousands of people transform their lives using the methods of the Mucusless Diet. And today we will be talking about one of the most important practices, most important principles of the Mucusless Diet Healing System, which is the transition diet. Lesson 15, lesson 16. Transition diet. It's right in the Mucusless Diet Healing System book, but so many people ignore it, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's ego or hubris, or if the dogma from things that whatever dietary belief systems they come from, if it's too much for them to come over and to just gradually transform the physiology permanently for all time. You change it. You make it impossible to go back to eat the way that you did before, to eat a disease-causing diet. Yet people, for some reason, lack of patience, lack of, like I said, the egoic work, they do not want to submit themselves to the transition diet. But I'm here to tell you today, when that does fail, when you do hit the ceiling and you can't go any further, and you're craving years in, you could be years into a raw food diet or a fruitarian-based diet, and you wake up one day and all of a sudden you're craving wild boar.
He ain't lying, Sheriff.
Or you're what the heck is going on? These are the kinds of transitional recipes that can save the day. The only diet on the planet that is a disease-free diet, the only diet that does not cause disease for the human species, is the mucusless diet. The only diet that does not create disease for the human species is the mucusless diet, not the raw food diet. Because if you have a raw food diet heavy in mucus-forming items, that's still a disease-causing diet. If you have a fruitarian diet, but you still got some mucus-forming fruits, that's a disease-causing diet. The only disease-free diet on the planet is the mucusless diet. And there are a handful of foods that you can use that are cooked, yet they remain or become mucus-free through the cooking process. Now, in the transition diet, Mucusless diet, some of the most important principles are how you combine the foods together, how and when you eat them, why you're eating them, all of those things, which I've talked about a million times in some other videos and transition diet. If you want any support with any of these things that we talk about here today, or if you want to see some recipe videos where I actually demonstrate how to make some of these things and prepare this stuff, you're going to want to join the Mucus-Free Life membership. Link is down in the description. Go down there right now, click the link, go on ahead and join us before the price goes up. The price is going to be going up soon again. So join us now and get access to me. I got bi-monthly Q&A calls with me. There's accountability calls. We have our own platform that's private, that's away from the prying eyes of Facebook and big tech and Google and all that kind of stuff. There's no harvesting of information, just a good place where we're able to connect with one another, support each other. You're going to love it. Go down now, click the link, join us, and get access to the greatest menu. We got a whole archive of videos and recipes and recipe plans and all kinds of stuff that you get immediate access to when you join the membership. Go down right now, click the link. I'll see you in there. Without any further ado, the first cooked mucus-free food item that we will talk about here today is baked zucchini / summer squash, in the same category. Baked zucchini is amazing. Now, one way to really know the quality of an item that you're going to use for these purposes to help with your elimination, to not leave behind a bunch of slime and waste, is when you select an item like zucchini that is mucus-free before you cook it. Those are wonderful, wonderful tools to use. There's a number of different items, and we'll talk about one later, that you have to cook it. You would not want to eat it raw under any circumstance because it's very starchy. You cook the starch out of it. In this case, we're dealing with an item that's already mucus-free from the get-go, but when you cook it just a bit, you make it eliminate even better. And I will say, and this goes to the principles and why I encourage you, go check out lesson 15, 16, 17 in the Mucusless Diet book, transition diet lessons. It's always important to combine cooked food, cooked mucus-free food, or just cooked food in general, anything you're using to transition. It's important to combine that with a combination salad because that's going to help it eliminate. So these are things, we talk about this stuff in the mechanics of transition diet, all that kind of stuff. So you wouldn't just have baked zucchini by itself. You are going to eat it along with a raw combination salad. That combination, when you eat those items together, they create a wonderful, wonderful GI broom. It eliminates well. The zucchini does not turn into slime, provided that you're eliminating. It's one of the things where it is important, even when you eat the best foods, if you're constipated, that stuff is going to destroy your insides. So it is a requirement that you be moving things well, that things are moving well through your GI tract. But baked zucchini, now that's one I do have recipe videos on that. Again, join the membership. You get access to that. Got the Mucusless Diet Healing System e-course. I also have some of the videos in there. With all of these cooked mucus-free foods, there is a bit of an art and some experience required to really get this right, because you don't want to overcook, but you also don't want to undercook. There is a sweet spot, and when you find that sweet spot, you have an amazing meal that can really transform your health for the better. Cooked mucus-free food item number 2 is stewed greens. This is a staple for me. This has been a staple for almost 23 years. Before I started practicing the mucusless diet, I had never had greens. I never had collard greens, mustard greens, kale. I never had any of those items until I started practicing the mucusless diet. Once I got into the diet, I said, okay, what can I eat? And that's when I discovered. And at that time, I was doing the sautés. Now I'm teaching and really encouraging people to get into the stewing. Now that is a video that I'm going to be making and giving to my membership very soon. That's the other thing, you get exclusive material in the membership. But stewing, it basically consists of, you put a little bit of water, say you have a pan. You put a little bit of water. If you have some tomato sauce or or maybe some vegetable broth or something, you can use that as well. Put that in there and you kind of make this little brine. You can season it if you want, or put some different seasonings in it. And then you turn the heat up, let that start to boil up. Then you make sure your greens, they're all destemmed. Then you put the greens in there, and if you're able to cover it, that's best. You can cover it up, let it cook for a little bit. It's going to basically steam. But you're not just steaming it in water in a steamer, which you could do. Same principle applies if you don't want to overcook it, but you also don't want to undercook it. You want to find that perfect middle ground where it's very easy to bite into, but it doesn't, and it starts to melt in your mouth, but it's not so overcooked where there's just nothing to it, where it's just kind of like a blob of stuff. With the stewing, you take the collard greens or the kale or whatever, destem them, and you get that little bit of water in there. Again, you could do this with tomato sauce. Just the different things you could add to it that would make it just make it taste good. Because that's the whole. One of the points is this should be enjoyable. So you make it the way you want to make it once you understand the tools that you can use, and so you get that in there, and then when you're more advanced, we just talked about zucchini. You can even cut up a little zucchini, and I would put that in more toward the end. You don't want to have too much stuff where you're making these real complicated meals, but this is a very simple meal. When you have stewed greens, again, you're always going to have a raw combination salad. Big raw combination salad, stewed greens, and in that stew, I'll put cut up onions, you can put garlic, peppers, all that kind of same things that you would put in a saute, like an onion saute, you put in the stew, and you're stewing this item. Now, again, I'm using the word stew. If you're not familiar with these terms, it's not like where you're using a whole bunch of water and boiling something and making a stew like that. This is just a particular approach to cooking the foods that is oil-free. And a number of years ago, I moved to just almost exclusively doing stewed items like this because I was getting away from using oil as much. But greens, game changer. Collard greens, and I'll mention the ones that I recommend. Collard greens, kale, and the dino kale or dinosaur kale or whatever it's called. Those are my favorite greens, and almost every vegetable meal that I have, that is going to be involved in there. Combines very well as it needs to with the combination salad, and it eliminates well. It's the broom salad with that little bit. This is when people start being so anti-cooked food, and there is this dogma within a lot of the raw food community where they'll say things. They use the word cooked food for all bad food, like all cooked food is created equal. It is not. All cooked food is not created equal. Stewed collard greens is not the same as roasted duck or roasted pig, cooked dog. It's not the same. Your rotisserie cat, whatever people are eating these days on the carnivore diet, it's not the same. So cooked mucus-free, and that's where we have our big difference of opinion, and it's usually more I see people trying to ignore what we're saying. It's like they like some of what we say when we're talking about fasting or how fruit is the food designed for humans. They like that stuff. But then once we start talking about, well, there are some cooked menus that you're probably going to need to use for transitional purposes because of the enormous, we got so many generations to overturn. And again, you can do some of these things for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Usually once you get to year 5 and 6, if you've been really, really hardcore without doing any type of transition, you start to have issues. And there might be a couple people that can make it a little further, but sooner or later, and I've just seen this time and time again. I've been doing this 23 years. I've seen it time and time again where when people do not respect the transition diet and what it means for their body, then sooner or later, we see people going off into carnivore diet land and keto land and back to standard anywhere diet and so transition, opening yourself up, opening your mind up, experimenting a little bit, seeing how things eliminate. That's the name of the game, is elimination. How well does a food item eliminate? And that is how we determine what is a good thing to eat and not good to eat. Does it eliminate well? Next food item, drum roll please, baked banana. Now baked banana, we are some of the only people on the planet that really recommend and have had so much success with cooked fruit. Baked banana is an absolute game changer. Now we have a recipe called Baked Banana Surprise. And again, that's in the membership if you want to go check that out. But Baked Banana Surprise is an absolute game changer, and I've recommended that to a number of people. Former raw foodists, former fruitarians, people who had lost their ability to naturally have bowel movements. Without supplements, without enemas, they couldn't have a natural bowel movement. So I put them on baked banana for several days, and wouldn't you know it, the bowel movement started coming. And now it wasn't baked banana by itself. Again, this is a cumulative. Got the baked banana, but you're also going to have your combination salads and all that stuff, which you learn. You read the Mucusless Diet book, study the transition diet lessons, very important. But baked banana, and I won't get into how to prepare too much, but basically you would want to bake it, cut off the little nubs on the end, the stem and the little butt nub on it, cut those off, and then back in the day, because you have the skin, you could either wrap it in foil or cover the thing that it's in some foil, or you could use parchment paper, but you're not gonna be eating anything that had touched the foil for folks that are scared of that. But, or you can do it without any covering, but you're gonna get different, it tastes a little different, you'll get a little different results based on how you prepare it. But either way, you bake it, and once it starts to juice, the banana juice starts to drizzle out the sides, you're ready, you cut it, open it up, dump because it's juicy. You get this banana juice along with this very soft banana meat. You put that in a bowl, and then again with the surprise, you would throw in some applesauce and chopped dates or some other type of, put prunes in there, figs, you do some different things with it. but that is an amazing recipe. Baked banana is an amazing item, and that is why it is on my top 5 cooked mucus-free food item list. Number 4, we have baked apple. So baked apple kind of goes nice with baked banana, but baked apple, this is just another, there's so many different fruits that you can either bake or stew, and baked apple is one of the best. Stewed apple is good too. I like stewed apple. There's some folks that even steam apples and they'll steam it and then blend it up into applesauce. But the cooked apple just in general can be a very good tool. Because again, you're eating something that's cooked. It makes it less aggressive. When you cook fruit, you take a bit of the aggression out of it. When I talk about fruits being aggressive, generally what I'm talking about is fruits that really have the ability to be astringent on the lining and the walls of your mucous membrane, of your GI tract. And that astringent property can, if you have more toxic waste in the lining of your system, then you're gonna get cravings, you're gonna feel more hungry. There's a number of different symptoms that you can have. When you cook the fruit, it makes it so that it's not as astringent, it's not as aggressive as the raw version. So it's a great middle ground. As I like to say, the Mucusless Diet Healing System is the plant-based middle ground. It's the healing diet middle ground, middle path. Everybody talks about the middle path in different traditions, Buddhist traditions and things. This is the dietary middle path where you learn how to, if you want to be aggressive, you can be. You learn how to be aggressive in a safe and sustainable way. You learn how to slow down the elimination in a safe and sustainable way. That's the art of the Mucusless Diet Healing System that everybody wants to avoid because it's not super sexy, as it's not as cool as like, hey, I ate nothing but apples for 200 days. It's like, that's kind of, people like to get that ego trip. I don't advertise when I'm fasting. You do not know when I'm fasting or if I'm eating some kind of mono fruit thing or I just don't do that announcement kind of stuff. And I know that's popular right now and that's fine. But I'm just saying, when you start to get into the mechanics, this is just a little bit of wisdom we'll throw in here. When you start to really get into the mechanics of transformation of your own body, that's you versus you. And there's certain distractions when you hadn't really mastered certain elements of the ego, you start putting these things out there, it causes some energies that start to mess with you physiologically. That'll be a different video, get way down that rabbit hole. But just the point is, don't let your ego, hubris, single-mindedness or narrow-mindedness, don't let that prevent you from using tools that you need if you need it. So for some of you, this is just a message that I'm planting a seed. And you'll not watch another one of my videos for the next 5 years. Then you're gonna wake up one day and you are going to be going through something physiologically crazy, and you're gonna remember this video and you'll be like, maybe some baked banana ain't such a bad idea.
The prophecy will be fulfilled.
Better than the alternative of pig feet or whatever these carnivore people are trying to do these days, and raw liver and that kind of stuff. It's better than that. So keep an open mind, understand there's nothing greater than the mechanics of the transition diet. And I'm just an advocate for the mastery of the mechanics. So few people talk about that or even consider that. They're in the realm of what foods am I supposed to eat, and that real kind of narrow-mindedness, but it's about the mechanics and permanent transformation of your physiology. That's when you have success. All right, number 5, last but not least, we have baked acorn squash or baked spaghetti squash, or really any squash in general, baked squash. There's a number of different squashes. From your acorn, there's the kabocha squash that's been real popular more recently in the community. Now, I prefer baked, so I like to bake my squashes. I have baked squash recipe videos in the membership area, so go check that out. Spaghetti squash helped me tremendously, especially in those early years, those first 5 to 10 years. I ate a lot of spaghetti squash, baked spaghetti squash, and when you bake it, oh man, I always like to chop up the onions, throw that in there, and chop up the garlic and peppers, and season it up a little bit and let that sit in there and bake for 40, 50 minutes. And there's a little bit more to it. Again, I'll refer you to the recipe video where I literally take you step by step through every bit and piece of how I bake acorn and spaghetti squashes. But that's an amazing item. Now, this is one of those items that in order to make it mucus-free, you have to cook it. If you raw, and I don't know why anybody would want to eat raw. They're just starchy. They don't taste like nothing. I don't know why you want to eat raw squash, but to make it edible and to make it mostly mucus-free, because you cook most of the starch out of it, then you're gonna have to cook it some way, bake it. Now, Brother Air likes to kind of stew. So what he'll cut off all the skin off of an acorn squash and then kind of stew it / steam it in a saute or a stew, and he likes to do it that way. So there's a number of different ways to do it, but I like baking it. I love just if you season it well, and I'm talking salt-free seasonings. I don't use salt. Haven't used salt for 23 years, but it really, really tastes amazing when it comes out of that. So baked or just cooked squash is number 5. So I hope you have found something useful, some foods that you can try, or if you used to eat them in the past and you stopped, maybe you can check them out again. Amazing, amazing cooked mucus-free foods. Not all cooked foods are created equal. Cooked mucus-free foods are something that you are supposed to use on the transition diet as you are transitioning and transforming your physiology. Nothing wrong with it. They leave behind zero slime. They're not starchy. They're not fatty. They're not leaving behind a bunch of mess. So they're perfect to use, especially when you combine them with the combination salad. They eliminate very well. And these are, for me, staples. They're staples of the Mucusless Diet Healing System transition diet. So thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you want to work with me, you want to plug into the community, go down below, click the link, join the Mucus-Free Life Membership Program. You'll be so happy you did. Get access to a lot of different recipes, recipe videos, things that have not been published out here on the interwebs elsewhere. So I hope to see you at the next Q&A section. And thank you so much for tuning in. Also, if you don't mind, give the video a like and a share. That helps us. Definitely helps us a lot with fight the algorithm, fight the good fight. And before you go, I want you to take a look right here. Here is another video made specifically for you. This is an amazing video, and it's been handpicked for you. So I want you to click right here, and I will see you over there. Peace, love, and bread.